talk about how terrible I thought that bill was. And at least there's some good news.
So would you be willing?
The bill is now better than it was.
So would you be willing to work with the Trump administration?
Like I said, it depends on what's happening here. If Donald Trump wants to run an administration based on bigotry, and he wants to follow through on trickle-down economics, run an economy that only works for those at the top and doesn't work for anyone else, then I can't help on that. Those are not the things that I stand for, and I think those are not the things that Democrats stand for.
So even if there's more infrastructure spending, which is something you support in general, if it's not done in the way, if it's done through lowering taxes or corporate...
If it's done to try to help, those at the top, and it's not actually going to provide jobs and economic growth and opportunity for the rest of America, you can't just slap a name on something and say, gee, would you automatically sign up for this? What it's really about are those core principles. We believe in dignity for everyone. That's what it's about. That's where you start. That's the stuff you don't negotiate over. And the rest of it, we really believe in building economic opportunity. We now have an economy that is working great. It's working great for those right at the top. And everybody else in this economy is being left behind. This isn't just about the poor. This is about working families. This is about middle-class families. This is about upper-middle-class families. This is about people who worry that they can't afford to educate their children. This is about people who worry that they can't afford to retire. This is about people who see no economic future for themselves and others like themselves. We have to do better than that as a country. We once built an America that worked, not just for those at the top. It worked across a full range. We weren't perfect, but we were bending it in the right direction. And for 30 years now, we've done trickle-down economics, and it has been an ugly mix of deregulation and just writing one law after another that helps those at the top. Tax cuts for the big guys, no spending for anybody else.
But as you know, though,
we have to reverse that.
When you look at that electoral map, that's my final question. When you look at that electoral map, there's blue on both coasts, basically, and there's a lot of red in the entire rest of the country. Do you feel like you're out of touch? Because that's what the Republicans say about you, that you're out of touch.
Out of touch when 2.3 million more people voted for the Democratic candidate than the Republican candidate, when the Democrats picked up seats in the Senate and the Republicans lost, when the Democrats picked up seats in the House of Representatives and the Republicans lost. Let's be clear. We are not the minority here. We are the party of opposition.
But it sounds like you're saying you won, but you didn't. So what went wrong?
Look, what I'm saying is that more Americans agreed with the Democratic candidate for president than agreed with the Republican for president, and not by a little bit. She won by a substantial margin. Indeed, as the numbers keep coming in, that margin continues to grow.
But you're talking about an economic message that is not resonating with voters in Rust Belt states. Even that term, Rust Belt, is offensive. But I mean, in those states where people are hurting, your message is not resonating.
And that's what I was just talking about. We are talking about an economy that for more than 30 years has been effectively a trickle-down economy. This economy has been full of deregulation so Wall Street could do better. And what's happening? Donald Trump's turning around and appointing the ultimate Wall Street insider, that he's called Mr. Wall Street, to come in and have the keys to the Treasury. We need an economy that works across the range, that produces good jobs, produces a future, produces opportunity all across the range.
Sorry to interrupt. It sounds like you're telling those workers who are out of jobs, who voted for Donald Trump in Ohio and other places, that they just were mistaken, that they were sold a bill of goods, or they just don't understand what's in their best interest.
Well, I'm sorry, Anderson. I mean, did you just hear what we said about Donald Trump? He promised that he was going to run this government for the American people and not for Wall Street. And what he's just done is he's just put a Wall Streeter in charge of the Treasury, and not just a random one, a guy who actually helped package all of those toxic mortgages, a guy who bought a bank that made its fortune by squeezing people hard on foreclosure. That's the person who's going to be the chief economic officer of the United States. I mean, Donald Trump is the one who said one thing during the campaign and now has reversed that by 180 degrees by what he is actually doing.
Senator Elizabeth Warren, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
You bet.
Lots to talk about with the panel. Joining me tonight, CNN political commentator Peter Beinart, contributor at The Atlantic, NationalMoveOn.org spokesperson Karine Jean-Pierre, CNN political analyst and USA Today columnist Kirsten Powers, CNN political commentator, Trump supporter Kayleigh McEnany, CNN political analyst and New York Times national political reporter Alex Burns, and CNN political commentator and Trump supporter Alice Stewart. Peter, I mean, it is a difficult, obviously, position for the Democrats to be in, and for Senator Warren and other Democrats to try to figure out, are they now just the party of opposition? Do they try to find common ground with Donald Trump and the Republicans? Because there are some issues where they theoretically could.
I don't think they're going to be a lot, frankly. I mean, even if you look at infrastructure, given what we know of the Trump plan, which is basically a giveaway in terms of tax incentives to very wealthy developers rather than actually government money, I don't think there's going to be a lot of overlap. But I do think that Elizabeth Warren has an opportunity because she's an authentic populist. She, for her entire career, has been in genuine opposition to the powers that be in the American financial and corporate system. Donald Trump is a sham populist. He's a bogus populist. He's a guy who made all kinds of claims about how much he hates Goldman Sachs during the campaign, final commercial of his campaign, and lo and behold, he's got a Treasury Secretary from Goldman Sachs, he's got a senior counsel from Goldman Sachs, and now we hear that his OMB head may be from Goldman Sachs. Elizabeth Warren has an opportunity because she's the real deal and Trump is a fake.
Karine, is it hypocritical for Donald Trump? I mean, is he going back on campaign promises?
Yes, that's an easy question to answer. Look, stepping on the Goldman Sachs thing for a second, they had their stocks went up, nine-year high. It went up 3% today. Why did it go up? Because now they have access to the White House. Three executives that are going to be part of the cabinet. And I think, yes, I mean, he was supposed to be a man of the people. He was supposed to make sure that, you know, that there wasn't going to be a revolving door. And he's doing the complete opposite of what he promised his own supporters the last, 18 months.
Is this a betrayal?
No, I don't think so at all. Just because someone has Goldman Sachs on their resume, that doesn't mean that they're a bad Wall Street person who should never be qualified to run anything in government solely because they happen to work at a certain organization, a certain bank. So no, just because he appointed people that have this as part of their pedigree, that doesn't mean that they're not going to implement the policies that he promised, namely the fact that there are going to be tax breaks for all. He's going to remedy some of the trade imbalances. And just quickly to Peter's point, you say that Elizabeth Warren's an authentic populist, and I find it really hard to believe that when she was pushed on Hillary Clinton by Anderson, and she never pointed out the fact that the DNC rigged the election in favor of Hillary Clinton. If you're an authentic populist, I would think you would have the guts to stand up for Bernie Sanders, who should have been given more of a chance, and the powers that be shouldn't have suppressed him and his supporters the way that they did. And for her not standing up for that doesn't quite ring authentically.
Kirsten, what do you make?
Bizarre red herring, but okay.
Kirsten, what do you make of Steve Mnuchin and some of the other choices he's made?
Well, I mean, I think it is true that these people are. He did specifically attack Goldman Sachs, right? He attacked Hillary for her ties to Goldman Sachs. He attacked Ted Cruz for ties to Goldman Sachs, claiming that basically Goldman Sachs owned Ted Cruz. So I think that perhaps he should address this. What does this mean? But I also think, Kayleigh, I see your point that it does ultimately depend on what these people are going to do in terms of policies. And Steve Mnuchin has said it's going to be across-the-board tax cuts. It's not just going to be tax cuts for rich people. It's going to be tax cuts for the middle class as well. So we have to wait and see what the actual policy is going to be.
Another thing supporters of Steve Mnuchin point out is that he hasn't held government office before, so that he's not viewed as a Washington insider, though clearly he is a financial insider.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we found out during the campaign is that there are a lot of different kinds of insiders that the American people don't care for, right? That there were people during the Republican primaries who thought that because I've only been a governor, I've never really been to Washington, I don't count as an insider. And in fact, if you're Scott Walker or Jeb Bush, voters still see you as a part of the political class. And I do think that everybody's pretty much acknowledging here that the American people don't care for Wall Street, and they don't care for people who come out of sort of the belly of that particular beast. And I do think that Trump has set a pretty high bar for himself to clear in terms of how he's perceived as treating industry relative to regular people.
They did move off the lobbyists who they had on the transition, which is one of the criticisms criticism Senator Warren had made. But do you think this is a mistake to reach out to Goldman Sachs folks?
No, I think these are men that are extremely accomplished in the business and financial world. They helped to craft Donald Trump's populist economic reforms that he's going to implement in the White House, and reforms that